Okay, so one of the questions that I've gotten the most over the years as I've shared my drawings online is how do you study efficiently? Or how are you able to draw without using a reference? And I think I've answered this question multiple times in the past, but I've never actually shown anyone what it is that I've really been doing for all the years that I've been drawing. And this is actually the same exact method that I've been using for 12 years now. Before we get into it though, I feel like this just needs to be said, of course, that this is just what I did and what worked for me. This is not the way to study how to draw from imagination, it's just my way. And you should find what works best for you. So what I'm going to do to show off my process is I'm going to draw a subject that I have hardly any experience drawing at all, because I feel like this video would be a bit disingenuous if I used figure drawing to demonstrate this, since I already have so much experience with that subject, and it would kind of defeat the purpose of this demonstration. Right, so I'm going to draw an alligator. I don't actually know if this is a crocodile or an alligator, but nonetheless, I'm going to be drawing this reptile. And just to be clear, I don't know how to draw an alligator. I actually can't even remember the last time or if I've ever even drawn an alligator before. So this this is perfect for this. Okay, so to get started here, what I do to study drawing from imagination is simply drawing from reference. Cool, so what does that actually mean though? Like, you may have heard that advice to draw from reference before, but what do you actually do with the reference? What are the steps you're supposed to take in order to walk away from a study session with new knowledge? Well, for me, it's actually equally as simple, and the goal for me whenever I draw from a reference is just to copy the reference. I'm not using the reference for inspiration for an original drawing. I'm not trying to iterate on the reference. I'm literally just trying to recreate it on my page or on my screen. That's it. That's all I'm worried about. And the reason for that is because in order to draw from imagination, you need to actually draw the things that you want to learn how to draw. You need to have the answer in front of you in order to be able to remember what the answer is whenever it's not in front of you. I was talking about this with some friends recently, and what I said then was, think of studying drawing like you're studying for a multiple choice test. What do? You may have like a few index cards in front of you with a question on one side and the answer to the question on the other side. And so you read the question and you look at the answer. And the question may be, what color is a fire truck? And you read the answer, and of course it's red. But so what do you do to try and remember the answer? You just say it to yourself, either out loud or in your head, over and over until it's burned into your memory, so that when you are presented with the question, come time for the test, you don't need the answer in front of you anymore to know what the answer is. This is drawing from reference. The question is, how do I draw an arm? And you look up the answer, and the answer could be either like a real life picture of an arm or a drawing of an arm by your favorite artist, but the answer is always what you want to learn how to draw. So you try to recreate the reference yourself, and you do it however many times it takes you, to where now when you go to draw an arm, you will have drawn an arm so many times from the reference that you just remember how to do it and no longer need the reference in front of you. So I'm going to do that right now with an alligator. So what is my question? How do I draw an alligator? Bet. I go on Pinterest, look up alligator, and you can pick whichever picture you want. I want to draw this alligator right here. So this will be my reference. This is the answer. So now that I have my reference, I'm just going to try to replicate it on my canvas. And I'm going to show you the whole footage of me drawing without any cuts in there, just so you can see like the real thing, my real process with these drawings. So cool, here's my first drawing of an alligator with this particular reference. And you know, it's not the best drawing. It's kinda stinky a little bit, but that's alright because it's just my first drawing. It's my first try, and it is to be expected that your first try isn't going to be the best one. Now, you might have asked yourself, Emilio, why did you decide to stop the drawing here? Why didn't you just keep going and fixing it up until you got a better drawing? And the reason for that is because that is not the point of this exercise. And now you may be asking now, what do you mean it's not the point? Isn't the whole idea to make your drawing look exactly like the reference? The answer is no. The reason I stopped drawing at this point is because when you're studying from reference, you need to be able to just call it. You need to get on with it. I could have just stayed here with this one drawing and spent 2 hours just drawing and erasing and editing, trying to make it look just like the reference, but that is only going to reinforce a sense of perfectionism within you to be doting so much on one drawing, and perfectionism is just going to eat away at all the joy of this process, because you will have just trained yourself to always get caught up on one drawing until you reach a perfect image that frankly will hardly ever actually meet your expectations. To be able to draw from imagination, that way of studying defeats the purpose of this exercise entirely. For me, the point of this exercise is to draw this reference as many different times as possible, one after the other, over and over again. And if I spend 2 hours on one drawing, at the end of my session, I will have only drawn one thing. I actually like to think of the classic movie, The Karate Kid. And if you haven't seen The Karate Kid, it's a freaking great movie and you should totally watch it and you'll have a good time. But specifically, what I think about is the iconic wax on, wax off sequence. Or if you watched the remake, the jacket on, jacket off sequence. Mr. Miyagi agrees to teach Daniel Kung Fu. And in the movie, he starts off by telling Daniel to clean his cars, to sand the floor, and do all of this mundane shit over and over again. And he tells him specifically how to do it. He tells him like to wax on in a circle, wax off in a circle, and so on and so forth. Daniel gets upset because he feels like Mr. Miyagi is wasting his time for making him do seemingly everything but Kung Fu. Now, the point of mentioning this movie, and you may know where I'm going with this already, but the reason is because in the movie, what happens is that Daniel didn't realize in the moment that by doing these random tasks over and over again, he had actually been building his muscle memory of these movements the entire time. Daniel no longer needed to actually be scrubbing a car to know what Mr. Miyagi meant by asking him to wax on and wax off. He had done it so many times that when Mr. Miyagi came at him with a problem, he already knew the answer. This, to me, is the purpose of studying from reference, and specifically to be able to draw something from imagination. By drawing the same reference over and over again, you're not only building your ability to observe a subject, but you are building a muscle memory of the subject in your hand, in your arm, to being able to draw your reference through sheer repetition. I've drawn the human figure so many times from reference over 12 years that I could probably do it with my eyes closed. Now, the drawing that I make is it's gonna be fucked up, obviously, but I've done it enough times that I no longer even need to see what I'm doing to know the tactile sensation, to know what it feels like to draw an arm or a leg. I'm already so familiar with the rhythms that my hand makes, with the motions my arms take, and the images are already so burned into my brain that I no longer need to have a reference in front of me to draw the human figure. So now finally, with this alligator, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw it again. Literally same as last time, just drawing the same reference again. And notice how I didn't start the same way with this drawing as I did in the first drawing. And it's because I'm trying to discover something, right? I'm trying to see that if by drawing the same reference a different way, I discover some line, some rhythm, some aspect of the actual drawing part of this exercise that makes it easier for me to remember how to draw the subject. I'm still drawing the same reference. Repetition in this sense doesn't mean to draw the reference the same exact way every single time. The point is to just draw. You might have heard those fabled words before from an artist giving the advice to, air quote, just draw. Mr. Miyagi had Daniel literally do the same shit over and over again, but he needed him to do a very specific thing to teach him a very specific motion. When you're drawing, you're discovering how you draw, how you approach the same reference over and over again. That's how you discover what makes your style of drawing unique. So here I have my second alligator drawing from reference, and as you can see, there's quite a difference now with the second drawing compared to that first one. Still doesn't look exactly like the reference, but it's a more practiced attempt than the last one because I had already done it once before. I'm now building my muscle memory to be able to draw this alligator without a reference. So now I'm going to put that to the test actually. I'm going to now draw this same alligator without any reference in front of me. And I promise there's actually no reference in front of me at the time of this recording. It's not like I say it, but I actually have it pulled up on my phone and I'm just faking it. No. There's nothing in front of me as I want this to be as authentic to the real experience as possible for this demonstration. So I'm going to take away the photo and I'm going to take away the previous drawings because that is also a reference in this case. And just like last time, I'm gonna draw that same alligator, but of course without any reference this time. Alright, so here's my no reference drawing of the alligator. Now, compared to the other two, it's not bad. The angle of the mouth is maybe closer in resemblance to my first drawing, but it's still a decent effort and certainly at least better than the first one. And I had the reference in front of me during that first drawing, so this is not bad. So now at this point, I feel confident enough in my memory of drawing these alligators that I'm just going to draw it again without any reference this time either. Now the results, of course, are going to vary with each attempt. There may be some things that I forget to include or something that's just a little off from before, But what's important is that I'm putting in the time, I'm putting the pencil to screen, or the pencil to paper, so that my hand is downloading what it feels like to draw this alligator. So when I have the reference in front of me again, I no longer have to worry about how I'm going to draw the alligator and where I'm going to start and how do I approach. I already know how to draw the alligator. So now with each attempt, I can pick up on more and more things and refine it with each attempt, that eventually, if I wanted, right, I'd be able to bust out this drawing of an alligator at a beckons notice whenever I wanted. I just have this shit down pat. I don't even need the reference anymore. Why? Simply because I remember it. Bro, when I got my last job, I didn't know how to get there, dude. It was like in another city. I had to pull up Google Maps and drive the route to the new job. And eventually, right, I'd driven down the same fucking route so many times that I didn't even need Google Maps anymore. I was like, bro, that's that one McDonald's right there. I know where I'm at, right? I just remembered. And it's the same way, or at least it works the same way for me with drawing. Because, like, dude, people remember things all the time, every single day. And I remembered how to work the cash register at my last job so efficiently that I didn't even need to look at it. It's like I was so good. Even someone like complimented me, like, wow, you're so fast. Fuck out of here. I don't want to be fast. Don't compliment my register skills, bro. But like, what I'm trying to say is that I'm not passionate about the cash register. You may not be passionate about remembering whatever the hell schedule, whatever task that you have memorized by this point. And there's just no reason why you can't apply that same logic to drawing. At least for me, that's how it works for me, or how I see it in my head. And right now, I've only drawn this alligator 4 times, but it's enough times for me to get bold and start trying to draw the alligator from different angles and in different poses, because just from studying that one reference, I've familiarized myself with some of the shape, language, and rhythms of an alligator. And it's not going to be the best, but even a wonky bullshit alligator like this is a more informed attempt without reference than it would be if I didn't study it at all. And the more attempts I make, the more informed I will become. Now, at this point, I could look at pictures of alligators and draw the same subject over and over again across multiple different references that I'll have accrued so much cross-examined data on this subject that if I really wanted to, I'd be able to draw an alligator from any angle, in any pose, all from imagination. And with that, that's going to do it for today's video on how I draw from imagination. If you like this video, consider hitting the like button and subscribing for more art-related bullshit like this. As of this recording, I've officially sold 50 copies of my Pose Reference Book Dynamic Figure Drawing Volume 1. Thanks so much to everyone out there who helped me reach that milestone. I'll leave a link in the description if you're interested in checking it out for yourself. And of course, I'd like to thank my patrons for all their support, especially over these last couple months. And I'd like to thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you again as soon as I can.